Can you escape postmodernism though?
I mean,
like, aren't we in? Isn't it going to be an umbrella for everything?
That's a legitimate question. Are we in postmodernity? Which therefore would necessitate a theory of postmodernity that might be postmodernism. It depends on that's a very complicated term, so it depends on what we mean by it. And I don't know, maybe we are in postmodernity because of our democratization of publication. That's fancy talk for you can post on social media.
Right.
You can make a video, anybody can set up this kind of studio literally in a room in their house, in a garage, wherever they want, and have a TV show.
Yeah.
Like there's complete...
And now I can go to the White House.
Yeah.
And get a press pass.
Well, I'm a little like, I wonder how that's going to work out for
I
them.
can't wait. Hi, Bridget Phetasy, dumpster fire.
Dumpster fire. When are you going to do the daylight savings time thing, please?
When are you going to abolish
winter.
Daylight savings? Winter.
Will you do an executive order? Is President Trump signing winter out of existence anytime soon? Can we make America Florida yet? But yeah, so the media environment that we're in is very democratized. Mm-hmm. It's very fake. Like, people don't know how fake social media is. And I don't mean fake like, oh, there's advertisers and there's all. No. It's profoundly fake. It is like the algorithms are all driven by like trending content. The trending content is generated by networks of people who are working together to self and cross promote so that they get higher up in the monetization scheme on X, which by the way is gaming that system, which is why Elon sometimes takes away their checks. And then they say, you're censoring me for my opinion. No, they're not. You're gaming his freaking payout system, which costs them lots of money. But that creates the trends that the algorithm then traces. And so what you're actually being fed, what you're actually seeing on X, unless you're using like lists and other workarounds, is very much driven by fake real activity, as in real humans interacting together. Like, hey, I get in a text group with you, whatever things you want blown up, send them to me, and I'll send them to so-and-so, and we'll get a group chat together of 30 of us, and we all, 500,000, 1 million followers each or whatever. We all retweet each other all the time, comment on everything, even if we don't agree, just whatever to keep the thing going. So much of it's driven by that.
Wow.
And then we haven't talked about bots, because the bot problem is nuts. And I don't know if it's fixable. You can buy bots. Anybody can buy bots. Foreign governments have legions of bots.
Yeah.
Like China has, the Chinese bots are kind of funny. They're not very good.
Yeah.
And if you figure you have one and you reply anything in simplified Chinese, they'll reply back to you in simplified Chinese and says something like, we're going to crush America. Something very crazy.
They're like, come to TikTok.
Yeah, right. The Russian bots are actually really good. Like they're very radical.
It's very funny
radical.
too. You can see it is true. Like you're like, oh, Ukraine woke up or whatever. Like when you're like suddenly something's trending. Yeah, you're like, oh, it's 9 a.m. in Moscow.
That's right. Well, yeah, and so they're much more sophisticated. They are actively trying to use bot networks to radicalize the right. And a lot of people are thinking this is a huge social movement. There's tons of like frog accounts on Twitter that are saying the same thing. And it's some room full of Russian guys with 75 phones each in front of them, putting out thousands of accounts. And it's only about 100. You could have like roughly 10,000 accounts verified on X for about $100,000 a year. If you do the math, it's a little more than that, but order of magnitude.
Yeah.
That's not a big investment for a government.
Yeah.
The Chinese government spends $16 billion a year on influence campaigns against the West. $16 billion.
This is why I don't buy this idea that, the whole China thing is interesting, because I don't know how, like, I was kind of on board with Trump wanting to ban TikTok.
Yeah.
And then he went back on it, and now you hear a lot of the people going, well, we need to have like multi-powers, and it's in the benefit of America and the world for America and China to be friends. And I'm like, I don't think China sees it that way.
That's not how China sees it.
You might think that, and that's great.
Oh,
and
yeah,
the people might think that, but I don't think the CCP sees it that way.
Yeah, they see it like, hey, let's be friends, fingers crossed. Like, come on, guys. They are a communist country. They're not your friend. They are not even your trading partner, like in business. I know that you make, that's the thing is it's the biggest consumer market in the world.
Yeah.
And it's the biggest manufacturing base in the world. And that should be making Americans feel like, oh no. But instead they're like, money. It's like,
Yeah, and that was one of my questions was, is that why all those guys were up with Trump at the inauguration? Like, are they hoping to enter into the market in China, which really for them is it just like, you keep hearing this word reciprocity, like from Elon and it's bullshit that like they have their stuff here and we don't have our stuff there. So my question is, are they going to sell out all of the Americans and all of our information
possibly
to China in order to get in there?
Look at Boeing.
Yeah.
I mean, so this is, we can speculate all we want about Boeing, but this was something that was said on Tim Pool's show, on Timcast, by a former Democratic congressman. Kucinich? No. Yeah. Dennis Kucinich.
Mm-hmm.
And so they were sitting there talking about, like, I don't know, people coming and asking for lobbying and all of this crap. And he said that it used to be, he's a retired congressman, so it used to be that people would come into his office, he said, from Boeing, and they were trying to get him to change a law that allowed Boeing to be able to basically show technology to the Chinese. But the reason was because Boeing couldn't sell airplanes in China unless they had a deal where China made the landing gear or whatever piece of technology it was for them to install on the aircraft. And so they had to be able to like show some kind of like trade secret to China to gain access to the Chinese market. But that was technically illegal because it was a sanctioned communist country. And so they were trying to get Boeing was trying to get Congress to work around that. And now Boeing is up shit creek, you might have noticed. They've now decommissioned, they've made their last, this is a little technical, but their last 777-300ER, they're not making anymore, it doesn't look like. They're like crashing, or the news is saying they're crashing all over the place. There's all these Boeing problems. They get this huge attack. Last time I was here in Austin, I was on Rogan's show, and I gave him this whole like rundown. I was like, no, what's happening is the Chinese manufacturer Comac is rising and they're stealing Boeing technology. And it's like they thought there was like, oh, we want to make lots of money. We'll be friends with China, or whatever. We'll let them make the landing gear, which is already scary enough because then they get all the technology to build advanced landing gear.
Right.
And I don't know if that also involved, that's all commercial. I don't know if it also involved, Boeing's military contract stuff to be able to get into the market. So if you think that if these guys, not you, because you seem to be a little more street smart than make deal with China. If these guys think there's going to ever be reciprocity with a totalitarian closed door system that firewalls everything, like they're releasing, what is it? Red Note, which is actually literally Little Red Book.
Yeah.
Like Xiaohongshu. They're releasing this into the United States. They're whatever with TikTok. That one's like
and then their
granted
new
a little
AI.
now they got their DeepSeek AI, and it's like screwing up our stock market or whatever. And meanwhile, you can't even like open Twitter in China.
Yeah.
Like
that's what Elon was saying.
You have to have like a VPN. There's not going to be reciprocity.
Yeah.
The thing with which one was it? Was with Red Note with Little Red Book? They literally freaked out because all these Westerners jumped on so quickly in some weird coordinated push, mostly among conservatives, by the way, which is super weird. All this pro-CCP propaganda coming from conservatives all of a sudden. And they all jump onto this thing. And then the Chinese were like, oh, crap. Chinese people can see Western content. And they're scrambling to shut that down. This is not how they play.
Those were some of the funniest videos where like the Chinese people being like, get your gay shit out of here, basically. Like, take your content away from here. We don't want it.
I mean, they've been using the word bisoa for a long time, white left.
Yeah.
And they don't like it.
Yeah, yeah.
They don't like it. And then they kicked Nick Fuentes off like that. And he was like, I want to go there because it doesn't censor me. And they booted him before he posted anything.
Like, why do you attribute what do you think that is going on with the kind of right-wing Chinese propaganda, or even like Russian propaganda in some respects?
There are kind of a handful of explanations that
because I thought they were like America
first
first people, so I would think you would be more isolationist, and which I understand. I understand the isolationist part. I don't understand I guess, is it just like we like dictators?
Do you understand we like money? You remember
do you
tenant media?
understand capitalism always wins?
Yeah. Do you understand that we like money?
I do understand that.
It's
apparently not enough because I'm not rich.
That is not that's not the only kind of explanation, but that is a very simple explanation. Some people might be. I have no evidence of anybody. I'm not accusing anybody. Some people probably are, in fact, being paid. The Chinese, as the stereotype goes, are tricky. You may not have, some guy whose last name is Chan showing up in like
with a briefcase,
with a briefcase and a checkbook. Would you like to write some tweets for us? Yeah, and gold
from Costco.
Yeah, you're probably going to have somebody that's not directly connected, who's a couple layers in. Would you let's like the tenant media thing, right?
Right.
$10 million coming in from
but
Russia.
Even that was like some random European guy that had no real history at all.
Yeah.
Like even that was a little suspicious.
A little suspicious. Like I would love to know what was going on, not to call him out, but in Tim Pool's mind, when it was like, we're going to give you $100,000 a week and this is totally normal.
He justifies it though.
I know.
He's like, these are average rates for someone of his caliber.
Of his caliber. Can we wash his shoes before we leave? Oh my God.
I mean, caliber.
Yeah.
Those are, if you're getting millions of downloads, you can command hundreds of thousands of dollars in.
I guess. I mean, nobody ever asks me for this ever. I think they know that I would rat them out.
This.
Like
for
I
as
do
much
suck
of
at this.
grifters as we are called, we really suck at it.
I am like
every time
worst
I'm a middle
ever
seat
grifter.
coach, I'm like, I can't believe I get called a grifter online.
Yeah, no joke, right? It's like they're like, who pays you? And there's some rumor, by the way. What you asked me earlier, what I get misrepresented with. But there's a rumor. This isn't a misrepresentation. This is like they're like, people think Israel's paying me. They think the CCP's paying me. They think that I have all these like weird shadowy funders, and I'm like,
I wish,
dude. Like, what are you talking about? No, I have Patreon. Like,
yeah.
Please send $5,
Yeah. Yeah.